Today on Wednesday, November 8th, 2023, I will be interviewing Naomi Katz on the history of the women's voting rights in Canada.
Hi, I'm Naomi, and I'm going to be talking about the women's voting rights history in Canada.
When people first started voting in Canada, who could and couldn't vote in the federal elections?
Women were not allowed to vote in the federal elections, but men who were 21 years old and older and who owned property in Canada could vote in the federal elections.
Why weren't women allowed to vote in the federal elections in Canada?
A man named Josephine Dodge argued that giving women the right to vote would overburden them and undermine the men's privileged status. But as years went by, women and some men realized how unfair this was to the woman in Canada, so they wanted to do something about this issue.
So what did the men and women who believe that women should be allowed to vote in the federal elections do about this issue?
They stood up and fought for what they knew was right.
What did they get out of fighting for women to have the right to vote in federal elections in Canada?
Well, on January 28, 1916, women who lived in Manitoba got granted the right to vote in the federal elections.
How long after that did it take for women all across Canada to be allowed to vote in the federal elections?
In 1918, all Caucasian women in Canada received the right to vote in the federal elections.
How did this change happen?
Enough men and women stood up for what they knew was right, and over time it made a change, allowing all women across Canada to be able to vote in the federal elections.
Which of the human rights would this issue violate in the 21st century?
It goes against the rule stating that we all have the right to take part in the government of our country and the right to vote if we are old enough.